following may be based on fact, fiction, science, or otherwise. We present that which is researched and that which is believed to be accurate and true. Professor Truth, guests, and associates may not agree on all viewpoints expressed, implied, or misunderstood by the reader or listener from the content communicated in any format. The information presented is for educational and philosophical purposes only, based solely on the spiritual precepts of the King James Bible as elucidated by the original language word studies and the anointing of the Holy Spirit of Jesus Christ, Father God in the flesh. Isaiah 9:6. The SCET Chronicles will go where no one has gone before. Due to the extreme nature of the content presented, it is important to pray before watching or listening to this series as we deal with the supernatural reality and warfare that comes against mankind. As with all of the shows which Professor Truth produces, the SCET Chronicles' purpose is to expose the reality of the nefarious war ongoing for the born-from-above souls of our Creator, Jesus Christ. We really do live in a matrix designed to blind the minds to the spiritual battle raging with diversions and distractions. Seek God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and have no other gods before Him. Pray the blood of Jesus Christ as your covering and the Holy Spirit as your guide. Finally, put on the full armor of God as described in Ephesians chapter 6. And by the blood of Jesus Christ, we pray. So be it.
Entertaining or controversial, and usually it's all three. If we haven't had a guest on the program you'd like to see or hear, we want you to go to the edgeam.com website and just drop us a line. And remember, 99% of all guests have been suggested by you, our esteemed listening and viewing audience. Tonight, Lieutenant Colonel SC, I spoke to him before the program. He has some brand new intel he'll be bringing to the show, stuff that's even freaked him out. And now listen, if the Colonel is freaked out with what he knows or what he's been getting, you can be guaranteed we're all going to be in Freak Zone City tonight. This guy has been abducted by reptilians. So, they're running out there too. I mean, you got a reptilian, he got scales, he's all kind of stupid, they're popping all over the place. He probably got halitosis going on. Don't like reptilians. I can hang out with the insectoids, okay? Insectoids, they're basically hairless, rather tall beings. Basically, if you got some gnats or something running around, or you got some mosquitoes, your insectoids will feast on them, sort of like a bat does, and so they'll take care of your bug problem. So I kind of prefer the insectoids. Then of course you got the Greys. Nobody's really sure about the Greys. Basically, they're an older group. Obviously known that their highlights are they do eat children, and they steal our resources here on the planet, making deals with the government and such like that. But so your Greys, well, they got issues, but they a little stinky too. Okay, they stinking because, well, nobody's stinking like reptilians. Okay, them boys don't blush because man, really, y'all crazy. You about crazy as me. Y'all can be a host. You got to do your own rating points. Lieutenant Colonel SC.
Hey.
Hey, Daniel Ott here from the Edge.
Hey, Daniel, how's it going?
Well, pretty good, Colonel. Good to have you back.
Thank you.
Well, I was actually off last week. I rarely ever take a show off. I think in the span of 9 years, I think I've taken off like a total of 3 shows. But I had to do it. I had a big motorcycle soiree, and there's people now in the live chat accusing me of having some debauchery stuff going on there. But I was really playing it cool. I was just hanging.
I'll tell you what, man. I get beat up so bad just as much as I get people agree with me.
Well, all right. Well, it kind of comes with the territory, but I tell you what, it's good to have you. Good to have you back. One of the best things I can do when I come back from vacation is have you in the program, because you always bring so much to the show, Lieutenant Colonel, and I want to get into a lot of information with you tonight, and several of the topics. So just so you know, kind of give you a heads up, we want to talk about CIA, the NSA, and then you were telling me before the show. Why don't we start there? Something about.
I've been going to. It's going to be a really hard thing to swallow when I tell you this, but I've been being taken for 23 straight days. In the last 8 days, I haven't been, but I've been taken to a place in New Mexico, which is not Dulce, which is not Area 51. Every night, I'm brought home before daylight, and been shown some things. And they said, due to my inquiries, I've been really investigating as hard as I can on the Slenderman.
Yes, right, the Slenderman. That's what you're talking about. That sounds pretty bizarre to me. But you're saying you're not really sure what base you were at?
No, I'm not. But it wasn't Dulce, unless it was a new annex or something, and it wasn't Area 51, but it was in a remote area like they are. So I was never just told. No, really, the first night when I got down there, they're all standing there, a couple of generals and colonels. I said, what? And they go, oh, we're going to show you some things. I said, why are you going to show me some things when I can't even talk about them? Doesn't mean there's, oh, no, we want you to talk about this.
Right,
So,
and why is it that they select you to reveal this information?
well, I'm probably not the only one. I'm not the only one in the world that's in Black Ops. There's a lot of people. And there were other people there that were confused and why they were there as me. But I think it's because when you inquire on something and try to do some deep intel and talk to people that you know that are in deep intel, they pick up on it because you're tapped. I might as well face the fact I'm always going to be tapped. And so I guess they were just showing us what we were inquiring about. And there's been a lot of talk on different documentaries and stuff about the Slenderman. So I went in my little own world of investigating, and I got took to a place, and not just the Slenderman, they showed us how they bring them all in.
Okay, now we're talking about the Slenderman. Now that's a pretty bizarre sounding character. Did you see this thing?
Yeah, it's very popular.
Okay.
They call him, he comes and wears a suit and tie.
Okay,
Almost like, good.
Does the Slender Man have his own show?
No.
Well, you said he's popular. I'm just wondering,
No, but it's the way they brought him in, which is so bizarre, and it's not all you get to see. But what I'm going to tell you, it's really complicated, and I've tried to all day try to sort it out and make it so that it's not. But picture a screen, if you get arrested and you're interrogated, of a window that you can see them, but they can't see you. Tinted. So picture something 100 feet by 100 feet, a screen like that. And then they use shortwave and analog and a microwave in the center, and they got cones in front of the speakers, and there's rifling inside of these cones to make it spin on a counterclockwise, all these 3 frequencies. And then they point it at the screen. You can't see nothing come out. You can't even hear it, but it opens up a doorway to hell.
Wow.
Best I can say.
Okay, so does the Slender Man come up out of this doorway from hell?
Yeah, they reach and grab them. They can't see that we've done that to them, but we can see them. And they use a mechanical thing when they get close to the edge of the thing to snatch whatever they want out. I even know the frequencies, but I'm not going to dare tell it because I know people would go out trying to do it. When they snatch these things out of here, but what's weird is that it's like that there's so much evil things behind that glass that it's almost, there's no inch of space in between everything. It's all this stuff. It's the most evil thing I've ever seen in my life.
Really? Okay.
I've never seen anything like it in my life. I mean, we all had a real hard time with this thing.
Okay, so who is in control of opening up this portal?
NSA.
The NSA. Well, that just goes to figure, don't it?
Yep. The NSA had control of it at first. I thought it was the company in America is what I call them. CIA, I just call them the company in America.
Well, if it'd be any company, probably Halliburton.
Yeah, and I thought that I knew it just had to be them, and it wasn't. There were some guys down there from it watching it, but they were watching it like it was their first time, too.
Hey, Lieutenant, now, people are making allusions to the fact that perhaps Slender Man is really a reincarnation of Obama. Did Slender Man have like a Brillo pad haircut looking thing?
No, he's pretty much pale white, like somebody dead.
Okay. Is
he
naked? Is this thing naked?
No, it wears a suit and a tie. They put a suit and a tie on this thing.
Well, at least the boy got style. I mean, at least the boy got style and stuff.
Yeah, well, you listen to this. It looks like it has 2 legs and 2 arms that are extremely long.
Mm-hmm.
But what you can't see is it's got about, it looks like a giant squid. It's got so many arms to it. And it only abducts
How many?
children under the age of 17 and above 9.
Uh-huh.
It was evil. It was just sickening evil.
Okay, how big are the ears of this thing?
Didn't see no ears.
Okay, so I was going to say, has it got big Dumbo ears like Obama? Some sound like every other sentence comes back to Obama. I don't know why. All right, okay. Now, we are detecting the clicking noise on the background of our conversation. Is that the NSA listening in again?
Yeah, probably.
Can we ask them? Can we ask them not to cut the show off tonight so we can finish this interview?
Yeah, they're fine with it. I'm not worried about anything anymore.
Okay.
You know, I'm just not. I'm not the only man in Black Ops, and there's probably hundreds that are listening to me now. And if they were in it and they know that I'm telling the truth, they know I'm telling the truth.
Yep. Alrighty. Phil and NC, let the NSA go. SCREW something, screw light bulbs, something. Anyway. All right. We've got this here question for you. When do you think the kill shot is coming? And I'm not sure who or what, but it better not be alluded to anybody I know.
Ed James talked about a kill shot. I told you that I, a long time ago, went to one of his classes.
Yeah, well, that boy made me mad, though.
How to remote view. And I did it and made a light bulb explode in another room and never did it again. It actually scared the daylights out of me that I was able to do that. In a 20-minute session, they showed us how to do it in 20 minutes. That's scary. And so Ed Dames got on, when he talked about a kill shot. It wasn't real specific on it until I heard on Art Bell one night talk about the kill shot. And he thinks it's an asteroid that's going to hit us. I don't know much about what the kill shot is or isn't.
See,
I just don't.
See, I'm a little bit peeved at Ed Dames. That boy tried to charge me to come onto the show, and so you know,
What's that?
Mr. Ed Dames, he's trying to cut all kinds of deals, and he said, you know, look, I'm going to make a bunch of money.
He says there's no such thing as Dulcie. I mean, that's where he trained people with Dulcie.
Okay. Well, there is Dulcie.
Telling everybody there's no such thing.
Well, there is, because I've been down there. Okay, I've been with them, the insectoids, and I was telling everybody those are my favorite aliens because they'll keep your mosquitoes down, kind of like bats do.
I figured you'd been there before. I mean, I have no doubt you've checked out a lot of these places.
Yeah. Well, I've got.
But Dulcie is a town. Okay. Now the underground facility is you could never find it. All it is a slab of concrete in the middle of some rocks. And there's some doors right there. And that's the entire, when you walk in there, you walk into a whole new world. There's only 4 doors there.
Yeah.
There's only 1 exit and 1 entrance.
Yeah.
But
man, look, I got level G14 clearance, okay? You know I'm allowed in there.
Yeah. You can go in there. Listen, I tell people that want to go over there and look, they'll let you in, but
They never let you out, kind of like Hotel California.
Out.
Well, that's right. That's like Hotel California, man. Once you go down to level 16, down at Dulce, I mean, you got to get special clearance, and you've got your insectoids, and of course your
and you got
guard
on top of a standing up on top of the balcony watching.
And the reptilians, man, I'm not sure what kind of gun they're using. It looks like some kind of directed energy gun. I'm not really sure.
I seen that. It wasn't displayed.
Hit me with it.
Told that they were energy focused with a high-powered lens similar to what they use in laser beams, but I seen a shoulder-fired 3-kiloton nuclear weapon shot.
Whoa!
Shoulder-fired now.
Yeah.
It airbursted. You shot it at a 45-degree angle, and it airbursted at about 1,800 feet before it hit the ground. Just 3 kilotons.
Well, I mean, you know, they're going to allow me to drop a couple nukes if I want to. All right, here's a question from Chulo in Florida. And Chulo, welcome to the program. Lieutenant, is there any truth to the comet Elinin? And if so, will that cause the martial law? That's ELININ.
Elinin?
Yeah,
the star?
Right. Is that going to cause martial law? Cause
there is so many ingredients in this martial law. And they're being really so open with it. So open. They're really doing this openly, this one world order thing. In fact, I was just thinking, I wanted to tell you and I could get him on for a guest for you. A guy named Chucky Nelson, we grew up together. We were very tight, and he worked in the coal mines.
Right.
Well, he got black lung and went after the coal mines for the strip mining. And he talked, he had a show on Netflix. It actually came on Netflix, an hour and a half show about the coal mines, and how they were systematically depopulating the state of West Virginia with Tetra. I don't know if he was talking about glycerin tetrahydrochloride.
Well, I hope they don't depopulate West Virginia until I get some of that moonshine out of there.
Yeah.
There's A1 radio over there.
But he said they're killing off whole towns with Tetra.
Well, speaking of clearing out whole towns, Lieutenant Colonel, I know that in Arab land, they've said they've been clearing out whole towns of Christians. The Muslims have?
Yeah, they are. And I don't know if you heard about this, but there's a town in Texas that the whole town is gone. This was just about 3 weeks ago.
Really?
And I haven't been able to find anything out about it except for I've talked to 2 credible agents who told me it was true. It had been blown, they said, and this is their words, it's been literally blown off the map.
Whoa.
There wasn't even no dogs, birds, or ants there. They don't know what happened.
Not even chiggers down there, huh?
No.
I tell you, and that is bad. If your chiggers can't survive a blast like that, you really don't got no hope for anything. So where do we find? Okay, what if somebody wanted to find that and verify what you just said? Where's the source?
I'd like to. It says somewhere in southern Texas, and I heard a short thing about it that there was 231 people gone from this town. And we have a feeling, one agent told me, he has a feeling that they demolished the town after the people disappeared. I don't know. I really can't be truthful with you and tell you where.
Okay, well, somebody in the live chat, Google that and get back to us. Throw something in the chat there if you got anything.
Yes, I've Googled it. If somebody can find out something about it, let me know. I can't find anything.
Well, I was down in that town. I was on vacation the other day in that town, so I had me an ice cream sundae. So hopefully they're still making that. All right, and here's guest 61 wants to know what about all the embassy closures? And this is going to go into a warning by our own government for travelers, American travelers worldwide. But they're closing all these embassies. What's going on there, Colonel?
Because they're getting ready to impose martial law on the earth, not just America. If you have no embassy to run into, they can't guarantee your safety that you'll come back, and that makes you stay at home. You understand? That makes you stay home when you don't get a pass. Let's face it, you got to have a passport to go to Canada or Mexico. They don't need one. They just walk across. And we got to have a passport. But it seems if you watch the signs and listen to the news, it looks like they're trying to keep everybody in the place that they're at so that they can systematically come and depopulate.
No good nerve-wracking sons of. All right. Here's another question. This is from Wind Dummy in the live chat, I believe. Lieutenant Colonel, what is the best way to defend oneself from a UFO invasion?
Well, the best way is to try to stay away, but they've been taken down with 30 millimeter rounds and 50 caliber rounds before, and I've seen one crash out in the desert one time that was brought down with a single 50 caliber shot.
There's a kill shot for you.
I talked to the sniper who did it. He would not tell me where he hit it at. But they die. You can kill them.
Yeah.
And they die, and their soul goes straight back to hell where it came from. So when they come to this physical earth, that's why when you see them, and they disappear because they're so scared that they're going to get stuck here. Because if they walk out of their ship and moby around, somebody comes up from the 30-06 and shoots them, they're gone.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it reminds me of a scene in the movie Tombstone with Kurt Russell where Kurt Russell as the marshal, he went up to the guy that was dealing the cards, and he said he's going to make him take his place, and he said, he stood up. He said, "Well, I'm real scared." And he said, "Yeah, I know you're real." Wyatt Earp is what I'm saying. He was as Wyatt Earp was saying to the guy. He said, "Yeah, I know you're real scared. I can see it in your eyes." And that's exactly what happens when I face a demon or an alien myself. You know, I can see it in their eyes. They scared. They scared.
They are scared.
Yeah.
They don't want to get caught in the parallel. They don't want to be caught.
Yeah, I told him. I said, "Hey, man, skin that smoke wagon. You know, see what happens."
Yeah,
and the boy don't throw down.
You literally have to have God on your side now, or you ain't got no hope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's all there is to it. I mean, it's coming down to where you're going to have to choose one way or the other, because it's coming down to that point.
Well, I think a lot of people
have to make a choice.
And this is really what kind of disturbs me. As I make allusions to my Facebook, the kind of things and the infantile things that people put on my Facebook, like stuff from Joel Osteen, happy thoughts. I'm thinking, really? You know, the church in America is like 3 inches from being closed down and being locked up as bastions of hate speech. That's how close they are, and they can say all the happy talk they want. That God's going to bless me and mine, and we're going to get it, and all the coming due to me is coming back to me. While they're while the freaking Department of Homeland Security Army trucks are outside getting ready to load them up.
Load them up and put them in a meat grinder. And that's exactly
I'm just trying to prevent it. I'm just trying to quit acting a fool, because you know what? As I say, in Muslim land, you know, Christians have been murdered and chased out of the whole towns. Okay, I don't know that we over here in the United States think that we're so freaking righteous that we get a pass. You know, I don't know where that's coming from.
They say you can't get me. It's plausible deniability. I'm an American, and it won't happen to me, and I'm an American.
Well, when the devil comes against you, just tell them you're American, okay? Because obviously, if you're a Christian in Egypt, you know, you're a dead Christian. So, you know, I guess the devil don't listen to him over there.
Well, you know, it's not going to be long here. Ted Turner got on a few years ago. I'm sure you heard it.
And what does Ted Turner? Ted Turner's always going ob.
Huh?
Ted Turner, whenever he speaks, he goes ob. Well, you know, there was ob. What is that ob? Is that something? Is it?
I don't know, but I can tell you this:
the new style homo list.
He openly said that the problem with
I'm going to tear it. I'm going to let everybody have it tonight.
Huh?
I'm going to let everybody have it tonight, Colonel. So just be ready.
Go ahead. I've been wanting to let everybody have it for a long time, but I don't.
Alrighty. Well, it's time to let loose, because man's time's getting short. Time's getting short. Man.
You're going to have to make a choice. And
like Bill Paxton said on Aliens, man, time's getting short, man. Now I got to bite on this rock. Well, listen, I'm not going to be biting on this rock of America, okay? I'd rather bite on the rock of Jesus, you know. So I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's it.
You got to go.
America's mystery Babylon.
Yeah.
People don't want to believe it.
I don't see no mystery there.
No, there's not a mystery.
Bunch of baby-killing freaks running around, and you got men and dogs going on. I mean, now in New York City, you got men marrying dogs and stuff, so I don't know what's going on there. All right, now, here's Phil in North Carolina. He says that it's good to have 2 passports. Colonel, is it possible that Americans could find refuge in Canada, or is that going to be just as much of a hellhole as we're making our country here now?
That's a tough one. I would believe that Canada are in it together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think they're all in it together, everybody.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty.
Well, you know what's happening? All these elite forces, the Illuminati, all this stuff, have been talking about this and about that, and listening to all the rumors coming about. And while people are thinking about, wonder if they're really going to do it, they're underneath you with a gun pointed at you already. Mm-hmm. You know, you in other words, you got to accept the fact that 10 years ago, if you talk about the Illuminati, half the people say it doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. The Freemasons don't run the church, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And they do. Mm-hmm. They do exist, and there's people that'll kill you for their own life. They just don't believe in God, and they believe that you just reincarnate or whatever you believe, and that's what's going to happen to them. Mm-hmm. If you believe in God, there's consequence. And to create a utopia world, you got to have no consequence.
Mm-hmm. Hey, do you only have one phone? Because we are getting that clicking noise. Some say that's annoying. Is there any other phone you might have?
No, it's all of them.
All of them?
I've got 4 phones, and I all do that.
Even is the Sarge still over there with you?
Yeah.
Does his phone click?
Yeah.
freaking NSA, man, bastards. All right, you would think they want a good signal too, because
Well,
if the NSA is recording this, you think they want a clear recording without their own.
Well, here's what they told me. I called AT&T, and they came out, and here's what they blamed it on: neighbor's electric fence. Now, it does pulse like that.
Yeah.
But I went and talked to the neighbors, and they haven't had their fence on in years. But they just, AT&T comes up and says, electric fence, you need to go talk to your neighbors. Since when do I got to talk to them? And you know what else they did? The electric company come over here and put one of those secret spy boxes on my house. You know, where they look at your meters? They switched it out with a new government meter that picks up every sound in your house and monitors you 24/7. And I got one in my house. I could care less.
Okay. Alrighty, and let's go to this question then. Is there any truth? This is from the Fast Blast, by the way. Is there any truth to the possibility of a military coup of the federal government and reinstatement of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights? As we all know, the Constitution has been trampled on by this administration. Is there anybody in the military that sees what's going on?
Yeah, most of them do. In fact, the reason the Chinese have been training over here is because they're the ones that's going to gather us together. Communists, it's a godless society, and they could care less about us because Americans, they can't. The Army said that they would turn on them if they tried to make them do that.
I tell you what, man, if Ching Chong Powell comes over here, I'm not going to have any use with his yellow pie-faced looking squint eye.
No, smoking.
And by the way, I never disparage somebody for their ethnicity, but.
No, I don't. I try not to judge anybody because we all got our own demons.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but the Chinese, they got a whole bunch of them over there. I mean, aren't they?
But everybody has their demons, and you got to choose to either.
Well, I mean, they start off the year by worshiping the rat. You know, the year of the rat. I mean, come on, man, how stupid. What are you doing with that rat?
People would rather believe in that than believe in
Wait a minute, do the Chinese use rats?
Probably, but they eat them. But what I was getting ready to say is the United States is the most vulnerable country in the world.
What did I just say?
They will fall for anything other than Christian doctrine because it holds you to the fire.
Yeah. Okay, here's a question from Sarah in the live chat, by the way. Is China behind the New World Order?
China is the new superpower. I don't know if anybody knows it, but America's not the superpower.
Is Ho Chi Minh still over there?
We borrowed so much money from them that the title deed to the corporate United States has been given to China to hold as collateral. They bought and paid cash for the biggest naval base that we had in California.
Yeah.
I mean, they're taking over. And notice have you noticed some of the movies that they
notice they all look alike.
Star Wars, they speak Chinese and English? Yeah. Because Chinese is getting ready to be universal language.
Yeah, see, they teach their people to speak English, but we don't teach our kids can't even speak English. I mean,
all they can do is cuss.
Did you hear the testimony of the star witness in the Zimmerman trial for the prosecution? I mean, that woman that I don't even know how to describe her talk, but it's somewhere between Ebonics and Chinese. I don't know what it was, but man, I tell you, we got problems in this country. Can't teach people how to speak right. All right, here's another question for you, Colonel. This is from Seeker in Georgia. Wants to know: are you aware of a planned expansion of Camp Merrill and the closing of 2,500 acres of forestry land to the public? Must be around that area. They say they may be using it for troop staging or concentration camp areas. So
I know all about it. It's a fact. That person that's talking, whoever it is, they know what they're talking about because it's not a rumor, it's a fact that they're doing that. And you remember Yellowstone Park, they took care of that. Yeah. They let the tree huggers come in there, and you can't control the bear and cougar population. Now it's off limits to the public. So the military has a base in there, at Yellowstone. But they've let the grizzly bears, they say that it's a 99% chance that you'll get mauled if you walk over 2 miles inside of it.
Wow.
So Yellowstone, come on.
Yeah. So what are they doing with the grizzly bears?
They there's no hunters to keep things in balance, like deer. If you don't have hunting, these animals get diseases and die off.
Yeah.
And so that hunting is done by lottery in this state, by lottery for elk, to keep the population at bay, so that they don't have to pick up diseases that can spread to humans. And so what they've done over at Yellowstone is they haven't, in the last 20 years, let anybody hunt bear or cougar out of there. Imagine how much the population is. They say that there's a grizzly bear for every mile.
Okay. All right, here's a question from Diana and John. What do you think it's going to bring? What do you think exactly is you know, you we were talking about what's going to trigger martial law, and somebody suggested a planet. But on the terrestrial frame, what do you think will trigger martial law in this country?
I think on the terrestrial level, civil war. It's because the dollar's going to be worth zip. People's land being repossessed, their house being repossessed, the government-controlled terrorist attacks in the United States are going to start to happen. And I've known this a long time ago. Daniel, I knew this 30 years ago, how they were going to do it with the terrorist attack. As a matter of fact, I had a doctor come here and stay with me for a weekend that heard me on your show. And he flew from Florida, and he brought me 2 books from FEMA, and it was, he showed us 2 books from FEMA, and it was made in 1984, and it says How to Survive a Terrorist Attack in New York. It had a picture of the Trade Center towers and a crosshair on both spots where the airplane hit. In 1984. That was the creepiest thing I ever seen. That creeped me out. I mean, so this has all been planned out, and people are thinking that, oh, they're flying off the seat of their pants. No, they probably got this more planned out than you got your survival plan carried out. You're going to have to learn how to survive, shoot, and stuff that you normally wouldn't have done.
Okay. And now, in a civil war, are you talking about a race war? Or is it going to be civilians against the government?
Civil war against the government.
Okay.
They are going to try to coup,
well, good. All
but
of
it won't happen.
And by the way,
let me tell you a quote what China said a couple of years ago. If we came and took over the entire United States, we might as well take a 25% corner of the property of the United States and give it to the resistors and the people that won't give up. Because if we don't, we'll have a Vietnam that we'll never be able to snuff out, because there's that many people here that are patriots that they would just cordon off a quarter of the United States and let them have it, let them build a wall around it, and that would be the end of it, and they would never mess with them.
Okay. So are you suggesting that the people of the United States will put their differences aside and band together to resist the government?
You bet. I mean, even non-believers.
And now,
there's non-believers out there that are patriots. You know, just because they don't believe, God will open up their eyes eventually. But there's a lot of people that aren't Christians that are going to join the Christians in a revolt.
Okay. Alrighty. And all right, here's a question for you. It says, Lieutenant, relate to the chat people how to live in the martial law type of situation.
You do exactly what you're supposed to do and be very sly. You have to know the lingo, military lingo. You'll have to have your own two-way radio systems. It's not going to be an easy undertaking that one person can do. It has to be a bunch of people, like a band of brothers. It has to be a band of brothers that are willing to die to be free. I would rather die standing up shooting than live on my knees begging somebody not to shoot me. And that's my motto.
Well said there. I think that's an attitude a lot of us need to have.
Yeah.
Harold Waffle asked a question, when is the war going to happen? Can you give a rough estimate?
I'm thinking maybe next year, and this is all just guesswork, so don't hold me to fire on it. But the way I see things, it's going to be in the next 2 years. And it's going to come. You know, Jesus said he can come like a thief in the night. Well, that's how they're going to operate, like a thief in the night. Everything will be hunky-dory just like it is right now. And in one night, there'll be a war.
So you're saying when everybody says peace and safety, they'll neither have peace nor safety. In fact, they'll be ended up in some kind of cataclysmic war.
That's right.
Hey,
I don't know if you remember. Did you ever watch a lot of Twilight Zone movies?
Yeah.
Well, they had one on there one time where these aliens had landed.
Mm-hmm.
And so what they did was the aliens were up on a hill
Right.
watching this town,
Mm-hmm.
and they shut the power off.
Right.
And then in the end, everybody was killing each other, blaming, you're the alien, you're the alien, you're the alien. And the alien looked at the other one, and he goes, and it's that easy? He goes, yep, we'll go from town to town, shut their power off, and they'll kill each other, and we'll go from town to town, from town to town, from town to town.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that episode. They was up on the hill, and they had their little control board, and they just especially when
and they were
one
watching
guy
them down there turn off their lights for a minute.
Yeah, they would turn the guys. They started the guy's car up, and then they shut it off, and yeah, there's a lot.
But I mean, that's what state of mind people are in right now. Think about it. Somebody like you and me, they want to point the finger at us and say, you guys are liars. You can't prove what you're saying. Well, I'm not saying a thing that you can't find. You look hard, really, other than the underground facilities and stuff, and that's all going to come to the surface pretty soon. So, you know, you're calling me a liar today. Well, I would rather take my chances than that I was telling the truth and be ready for it, because I won't lose nothing. But if you're not ready for it, you lose all. You know?
Yeah, that's it, and a little bit more on that Twilight Zone episode, which basically, I mean, that show was so far ahead of its time. And that particular episode, I can relate to today. Is like if you take some people's Obama phones, you know, there's going to be anarchy. You know, I mean, or, you know, turn off their Xbox.
I'm glad you watched that version of that Twilight Zone section, because that right there spelled it out. I mean, seriously.
Well, there's another one.
If you turn the power off, everybody wants to point the finger at the other one. It's because of you that's having blah, blah, blah. And then they turn the power back on, and everybody's going, oh, I'm sorry, and I'm sorry. And then they turn the water off, and they come back, that's you.
Yeah. Well, let me give you another episode, and then this one was called The Obsolete Man with Burgess Meredith.
Yep, I remember that.
And
the guy had, all he wanted was his Bible.
Yeah.
And then when he came, and he was obsolete.
Yeah.
And Rod Sterling had a real focused, clear image of the New World Order and alien invasion. Yeah. Did he not?
Remember how that episode started where the head guy said the state has proven that there is no God?
Yeah, and you have a Bible, and it's against the law to have a Bible, so you are now obsolete, because he had books.
Yeah.
And he decided to die the way he wanted to by explosion with his Bible while he was reading. Well, then that guy goes back to work the next day, and they found a book at his house and was telling him he's obsolete. And I remember, here's what really got you. Is every single person looking at him going, you're obsolete, you're obsolete, you're obsolete. Well, that's exactly what people are doing right now.
Yeah.
There's nobody trying to survive and this and that, not most people. They're trying to figure out if this and this happens, what the Colonel says or what Daniel says. It's their fault. They brought it on.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to get the blame. You'll see.
Let me ask you something. I wish the whites and the blacks would. I think that the division between those with lighter and darker pigments, melanin. I think the differences are fabricated by the government.
Yeah, I heard a little bit about that, and it is conjured up. But you know what? I was just telling my wife not too long ago, when you watch a movie and cops and different things like this, there's black, lieutenants and black mayors and this and that. But here's what really gets me. On these brand new movies coming out of Apocalypse and this and that, they got a black president. And I'm not prejudiced whatsoever against blacks. Some of my best bros are blacks.
Yeah.
And but that's what they're doing. And all of a sudden it's a black president. And I don't care if there is a black president.
All right, here's a question from Phil. It says, is there any truth in the TV series Falling Skies? Are they trying to tell us something?
Yes, they are. There's a bunch of them trying to tell us something. The Walking Dead, have you watched any of that? About the zombies?
No.
It's a weekly show that comes on for 3 years now, and it's about the world got changed into zombies. It's the most popular TV show on the face of the planet right now. And it's about groups and different groups. And here's what gets me about this. Okay, it's about people that are surviving, holed up in a prison or whatever, and locking it down and keeping the zombies out the other side of the fence. And then there's another group of people that have a town locked down and this and that, and they're fighting each other. They're fighting each other.
System, doesn't it?
Like there was no zombies, like it was war against the people. But you need to watch it. It's called The Walking Dead, and all these TV shows about apocalypses and Planet X and all this stuff. Yeah, they're warming you up. How many things on the science fiction or horror films have you seen that have come to pass? Maybe a couple of years after you've seen it, something very similar happened.
Yeah, and the movie Minority Report is really coming to pass with the biometric eye scans and
verbatim.
And the thought crimes too. You might as well say, well, you know, the precogs and the thought police were institutionalized in that movie, and certainly now I'm sure that with the Google database and the NSA database that they're gathering on people, they say they can now tell what each individual person will do before we know what we'll do. They have the algorithm that they put together based on tracking our lives, and they know more than we do what we'll do. So they could arrest us simply because they know what we would do in a particular situation. It's freaking
but
scary.
You know what's going to happen, Daniel? First, you're talking about you're getting bad rhetoric and bad names, calling and all this stuff on there. They'll give me and you up and say it's all our fault. They'll give me and you up before they'll give themselves up. They won't stand with us and say, he told us so, we need to listen to him. They're not going to, most people won't. Most people will give us up because the government's going to demand who started all this and that. And the people have been on Art Bell and your show, you know, those are the people that they'll want to give us up.
Okay. Well, tell you what.
Me and you will never be able to go into hiding now, Daniel.
Okay.
We've signed our own death certificate already.
Okay.
Because when it comes down to it, they'll give us up.
Okay. All right, hold that thought there because we're at the 9 o'clock break. We're going to take a 5-minute break, Colonel, so just stay on the line.
Okay.
All right, everybody, you're watching and or listening to the Edge television broadcast. On our Newsmaker line tonight is Gay Gingrich, and we're talking about the New World Order and the NSA and the aliens and Slenderman, a new type of creature. Maybe we'll come back to that in the second hour. If you missed any of this first hour broadcast, it will begin to replay immediately after the show at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now back on our Newsmaker line, we have with us Lieutenant Colonel SC. Lieutenant Colonel, welcome back to the program.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back. I'm going to say something real quick. Maybe one day this year I could come there where you're at and do a show with you live.
Yeah?
If you want to do it.
Okay, that sounds like fun.
I mean, we could do it 2 days, a Saturday and a Sunday, and this way they'll get to see me, and I can have a dry eraser board, and I can draw and make things that sound complicated so much easier. I just think it would be a blowout show.
Okay. All right.
Really
we'll see what kind of technology we got to put together to make that happen.
I don't know, but you're on Skype. I could just be with you there, there.
Yeah. And by the way, for those listening, there is a clicking noise in the background. The Lieutenant Colonel says they're on all the phones, so there's no sense of him switching phones. It's just going to have to be part of the broadcast. Sorry about that. All right,
I'm sorry about that.
Let's get right back to it. Catherine from Mao says, do you see UFOs in the southwestern part of North Carolina?
All the time, every single night of the week, if I want to. It's gotten to where we don't even, we just ignore it because it's just constant. It's like a highway here. It's unbelievable.
Okay, what are they doing?
They're just flying around, and I had somebody stay here with me about a month, and they almost woke me up on several occasions. They said that they were in outlet and used a big bedroom. I had company, and they said that my whole woods was lit up at night.
Okay,
where things were landing and taking off. Yeah,
okay.
And we go out there and find evidence of it all the time. Matter of fact, we had 2 meteorites airburst on us back here. It blew all the trees and everything down there. It sounded like an atom bomb going off.
Hey, Lieutenant Colonel, we're talking in the first hour. For those of us just joining late, they might want to know too. You were talking about Slenderman, and that you were chosen to be one of the people to see this thing. Is there only one Slenderman creature, or are there many?
How about the tune of 750,000 or more? They brought that many across. And these things are malevolent, and they are the worst, evil things. And what they do is, you know, if you're watching TV, you know how your pixels mess up sometimes?
Yeah.
On your TV?
Yeah.
When they dart across from one place to another, it sounds like an AM radio station that's out of tune, and the pixels of them standing there start to dissipate, and they dart somewhere else. And they're dangerous. And the rake's being, I believe, it wasn't supernatural. The rake is an experiment gone wrong, but is equally deadly. And if anybody wants to see something about the rake, watch the movie The Tunnel. It's available on YouTube, I think, too. The whole movie. And this isn't one of those found footage films. This has actually happened with two survivors telling the story, and they got the footage to show it, and they show the rake. And it feeds on people. It's said through the agency that they can eat 3 to 5 people a night, one rake. And they're everywhere.
Hold on. You say Slenderman is eating 3 to 5 people a night?
No, this is the rake.
Oh.
It looks like a Slenderman in a way, with no suit and tie. It looks like a gray with super long arms. Their arms, they stretch their arms straight down. It almost goes to their ankles. And they're lightning speed. And the tunnel is a real, it's not a movie, it's real footage of the rake and what happened, these people getting killed. 2 of them survived, and it starts out with a 911 call that was made in England, 999 really, that was made in England.
Yeah.
And you have to watch that, because these found footage films, there's never nobody there, and then they have executive producers and this and that at the end, and then you know it's not real. This one here doesn't have produced by blah, blah, blah.
Well, all I want to know, does Slenderman got a big black eye so I can punch it out?
No, it's got 2 round eyes that glow like a deer in the headlights. I'm telling you, it's a malevolent thing. It's dangerous.
Sound like a freak
and when
show.
it got brought across the threshold of what they were doing, it was shaken, scared to death, because you have us in the reality. And see, and they, what it was explained to me is they can't see us in this thing. But there was so much creatures and evil in there. I'm telling you, there was not even a half-inch gap between them. It covered the whole screen. I mean, what happens if that damn thing gets stuck?
Well,
you know what I'm
that
saying?
don't sound very good.
No.
You don't want crap getting stuck.
Yeah, because they'll figure it out. They'll see 3 or 4 go out, and they all come pouring out. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, there's 20 or 30 of us there, and it just freaked us all out. I had a terrible time. I haven't even answered my emails in weeks because I'm scared.
Colonel, I've never heard you being scared. Okay, that's.
I know, but I was. I'm scared. I mean, they're all over the place, and it explains what we've been seeing back here. And so me and Sarge last week went in a trek and went about.
Colonel, get a hold of yourself, man.
About eight clicks into the woods, about 4 miles into the woods, and like I say, there were no birds. There's nothing. Not even rattlesnakes and stuff where you normally find. There's nothing.
Okay, look, Countermeasure for Christ says there's no way you could be scared. So this thing has got to be pure, demonic, negative energy right there coming at you.
Oh, man, like you wouldn't believe it. You know why?
Like
because I seen them bring it in, I think. If they would have never showed me that.
How do they bring them in? They bring them in chains? They bring them in a
No, they got a mechanical arm, believe it or not, that
like
goes into that screen. It's not really a screen. It looks like a piece of glass, but you could stick your hand through it. It's almost like that show Quantum, where they do the quantum leaps and stuff, you know, through that round thing that looks like water. That's what it's like. You can stick your, but if you go inside of there, you can't find your way out unless they grab you and pull you out.
Well, somebody's got to go in there.
I'm not going in there. And I'll tell you this.
Okay, I'll do it.
I really am worried about that thing.
Well, I ain't scared of nothing. I got a cowboy hat. When I go in a place like that, boom, your demons start running.
Well, I'm not saying I'm scared to where I wouldn't lose control. I'd keep my composure and stay calm, but it would be hard. It may look good on the surface, but underneath my skin, man. And I talked to some of the other guys, and first of all, Daniel, we all thought we were just dreaming. I mean, they gave us a shot of Haldol, and it's similar to cycloquinine, and only Haldol, you don't have no control. It completely disables you. You take a violent 6'5", 300-pound man and make him drool himself and say, "I want my mama," with one shot. And they give that to you. And here's what's impressive. It looks like we're in a helicopter. And how do we make it from here to New Mexico in 35, 36 minutes time? Because that's all the time that passes. So are we going, you can't see the pilots. They got it blocked off. You just get on it, and you kind of do what you're told because I guess it's subliminal. They programmed us somehow that we know what the consequences are if we don't. I don't know what they are, but it gives us a chill. So you just go. You know, they did it for 23 straight nights exactly, and they haven't done it in over a week now. I didn't read my email. I came home sick. When me and Sarge went into the woods the other day, I came home, I laid down for a minute, and when I woke up, I had a fever of 104. They almost had to give me an ice bath. I was so sick. And Sarge was sick. Yeah, we all got sick. And I was sick for 23 days. And I still haven't opened up my email. So people that's emailed me, it's not me ignoring you. I'm going to open it. It's just I'm afraid they're going to be on there and say you got to come back. I don't want to go back. You know, because now we know we're not dreaming, that it was actually happening. Wow. You can't call 4 or 5 guys that you know and they tell you the exact same story. You know?
No, really
we're not lying. But most of the listeners, there's a lot of listeners think I'm lying about all this stuff, but
not here in this
podcast. And, you know, here's what I tell people. I say, if I tell you that in January 1st, the military is going to have a 3-day crackdown, so you need to move to higher ground, and you do it, and it never comes to pass, well, what if you didn't do it, and it came to pass? You see what I'm saying? When we make these predictions and stuff, we're telling you on base. I speak to you all on hard-based knowledge firsthand. That's I don't have no books. My computer's not on. I don't have no notes in front of me because what I've seen was so traumatic and vivid, you can't forget it. And I think that using notes and stuff isn't a good way to do it. I think the best answer you're going to get is the one that blindsides you. And I just want everybody to know that when I say a date or something, if I say a date, which I rarely do, you know, it's best. I'm telling you, I heard it, and all I can say is that I've never seen these people tell me something that they were going to do and not follow through with it. That's the best thing I can tell you. So when I tell you that this and this is going to happen next month, I'd at least take it to heart, because what are you going to lose if you go somewhere for 3 days? Nothing. If nothing happens, you come home and your house is there. But if something did happen and you didn't go, you lose everything.
Well, right. I mean, you know, that's kind of like the test of a prophet. You know, if a prophet says something, it doesn't come to pass, then obviously not the prophet. And I don't know if, you know, I really agree with that, because
I don't agree with that, because some of God's prophets, look at, was it Jonah that didn't want to pray for the people and got swallowed by a whale? You know? And he knew that the first prophecy that God was, I think it was Nineveh, was going to destroy the people, and he did not want them to repent. He didn't think they deserved it in the snap, so he got
Lieutenant,
balled up.
Colonel, we've got evidently a couple of people who didn't listen to the first hour. They would like you to describe once again, because the Slenderman is a very new phenomena. I haven't even seen that on the internet. So a lot of listeners.
Everywhere.
So could you describe the Slenderman one more time?
Okay. The Slenderman is between 6 and 8 foot tall. And he's totally naked when he comes across, and he's white with eyes that glow. Very, very intelligent creature. They put a suit and tie on him because they desire youth, people under 17 and kids above 9 is what they prefer. So they're very intelligent, and they know what they're there for. So they put a suit and tie on him so that they can be walking around. Listen, I've seen some films. They showed us also films of what they do, of one of them walking through the schoolyard, and nobody even noticed him because he had a suit, tie, and a hat on.
Okay. Now, some sick mind out there is wanting to know. Well, you said earlier that he's not naked.
No, he's naked when he comes through.
He's naked when he comes through. Okay. Somebody in the live chat wants to know about the plumbing issue. Is it standard, or is it like?
It's the what issue? The clothes?
No, the plumbing of this.
Oh, yeah. I didn't see any. I knew that was coming to genitals.
Well, that's good. I mean, I don't know why you'd be looking,
I think that they burn all their energy and don't have to do that. There are other creatures that I could talk about that I've seen. I didn't see them come across, but I've seen them in glass cages that never have to defecate or urinate ever.
I think it's a good place for them to be. That particular car can be commandeered by a hacker.
It can, because the computer, it's like totally computer controlled. Similar to a Rolls Royce. You know, the Rolls Royce doesn't have a front hood. You can't never get to the engine. You have to take it to the factory to get to it.
Well,
and all these, these computer boxes you got in your car, they haven't done it yet, but did you know with the flip of a switch, with a helicopter, they can shut down 50,000 cars right on the spot.
Yeah.
And if you'll remember a few years back, the government was advertising on TV, sell us your pre-80-something vehicles and we'll give you double what they're worth, because they didn't have no computer box on them. And they were crying out on the radio, on the TV, please sell them back to us and we'll give you double what they're worth.
Well, I think
just like they did analog, they took analog off, and now I know why. And it is a government control, but these guys, what they're hiding, the more you tell, the safer you are. Because if I get offed, 90% of 1 million people at least that listen to this show are going to believe that they killed me because I said something.
Yeah.
And these guys that want to go off and hide, why not kill them and blame it on suicide? Nobody knows them.
It's always suicide, isn't it?
It's always suicide. What about the Clinton administration?
Got no imagination.
People got killed there. Carbon monoxide hoses in their cars and all this other stuff. That's bull. There's a lot of people died under their administration that were high up.
This question is from Ryan. I don't know if you've addressed it already, but it says, what information do you have on the embassy shutdowns? I think we've kind of briefed over that.
Yeah, we did go over that, but that's a real strong point. I'm glad he asked that. These embassies, let me tell you what. You know when we're most in trouble? Do you think that he's going to be here when civil war breaks out? Hell no. Everybody's going to be knocking on his doorstep, wanting him to drag him out.
Right.
But that's not going to happen. So he's going to go to Brussels with the rest of the Illuminati and their plan. And they don't make a big deal, hidden secret of their plans. They don't.
No, they're getting more. They're getting more bold every time.
That's because
they've suspended the Constitution. They don't have to worry about anything.
Here's what they look at. If I got 500,000 people to change their minds, that's not even 0.1% of the population. I am not endangering them and their agenda in any way, because I would say maybe 60% of the people believe me and 40% don't.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'd say.
And that's a
and
good...
you know, you've been getting derogatory things on Facebook and stuff, and that's... Hell, I've been getting hit with it since the first show.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always getting it.
Speaking of Eric Snowden, this is from my friend Will in Indiana. Do you know about what other documents that Eric Snowden has?
No, but I can tell you there's probably nothing that we haven't discussed.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that the Congress is going to start to move to rein in the powers of the NSA? Or do you think they control them enough they won't be able to stop it?
I knew James Casbolt fairly good. We talked on the phone many occasions, okay? And the NSA was his problem. It wasn't the CIA or the MI6. He was an MI6 agent, but he told me, he said, it's the NSA, and he told me, he said, Colonel, you be careful with the NSA, because, see, one time he called me, the phone rang, it was this call from England, and I knew it was James, and I said, what's going on, man? He was really shook up and in tears. He goes, they just brought me back. The NSA yanked me off the streets a few days ago, and I know what all they did. It'd be a long explanation, but they did a lot of terrible things to him. And he said when I came up, the reason he called me is because he had a 9mm pointed at a guy's head. He was ready to blow his brains out and didn't even know why. He'd been drinking. James had been drinking that night. And he says, I'm getting ready to kill him now with 9mm, and I don't even know why. And I said, James, put the gun up and walk away. I had to tell him about 10 times, but he did it. And he put it up and walked away. But it was so traumatic that he was ready to strike out at anything. The first person he saw, he grabbed him. And then he got really paranoid, thinking everybody was NSA. He said, one time when we were talking, he says, you're the only one I trust to tell all these things to. You know, and I'm not going to discuss what he didn't want me to, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
But he was being nabbed all the time. The NSA has been the secret ace in the hole for a long time now.
Now, do you think that the NSA has information, say, like on the Supreme Court and members of Congress, and they're the ones that's really stalling the Benghazi investigations and the Fast and Furious investigations and the IRS investigations, which they're all phony scandals, I think. But do you think that the NSA is really causing it?
I'm not going to name the congressman who told me this, but I talked to a congressman face to face, and I said, why is it? We were in a store, and I won't mention which one, but it's a crowded store. And I knew him, and he goes, he pulled me aside, and he whispers, and he goes, if we don't do what we're told, Obama says he's going to kill our children and grandchildren. And they left it at that. And he looked at me, he raised his eyebrows up and says, you know what I mean, bro? And I go, yeah. And that was all that was said between the two of us.
You know, hey, Russia gave asylum to Snowden, the NSA whistleblower. Isn't Russia really just showing that they don't have any respect? Well, I think what's happened is the Clintons have impregnated the Bushes, and then that you come out with Obama.
Well, you know, the Bush's daughters, pretty girls and all this.
Oh, you've been checking them out?
Morphed a little bit one time on TV where they had to pull the show because they were like reptilian. They were morphing, what they call it. But what was really noticeable was she said about Bush's wife, her mother, she goes, my mother's name is Lizzie, the lizard lady. That's what we call her inside the White House. And she gave her daughter the meanest look you ever seen for saying that.
You mean, did her
and
eyelids?
Over Bohemian Grove, the Bushes are the only ones that's got a big wall around their section of it.
Well, see, that's just it. I mean, you know George W. Bush, he doing something with the owl, okay? I don't know what's going on there. Some new gerbils, some new owls. This guy's a freak. I mean, that makes him a freak. Okay, that's all I can figure.
Well, check this out. That owl, here's what I found out, and I'd say it's an 8% probability that it's true. They picked that place because that owl always was. It was there. That statue of an owl. It wasn't pre-made. It was there. And that's why they have it there. and actually it's a sexual thing, and I think Alex Jones got in.
Okay. Is that owl masculine? Is that a succubus owl or a
what?
I mean, what kind of owl is that? Is it an
I don't
incubus
know.
or a succubus owl?
It is an owl when you look at it.
Yeah.
But I was told by some people, and
it's kind of kinky.
That it was always there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they picked that place. They said it was destiny, and it was in one of Albert Pike's notes about that owl.
What's this talk about the Princess Diana when she said that the royal family was a bunch of lizards?
Yeah.
Are they reptilians? Is the English royal family reptilians?
Oh, yeah. And here's the far-stretched thing, and people are going to tell you, write in and tell you how stupid I am. But Queen Elizabeth is said to be 750 years old, so I kind of took that with a grain of salt, so I started looking at pictures of her.
Okay.
Now, she hasn't changed. In 30 years, she looks the same. She hasn't changed. Has she ever been replaced? Nope. Queen Elizabeth? She hasn't been replaced. Do you know of any other queen that's replaced her?
No.
Nope.
So you're saying she's kind of like the Highlander? She just keeps going on and on?
She runs the show for everybody.
Really? She kind of looks like
she looks like a lizard bag lady.
She looks like a lizard bag lady.
Yeah, she does, but they have their fiasco there, the reptilians do. And see, to be a human as a reptilian is painful, and they hate it. It's a release when they shape-shift back into reptilian form, I was told. And a big fiasco that the royal family has that's private only to high people like the Bilderbergs and this and that. But I was told that it was almost a sexual experience to them to reform into a reptilian and eat young people. That's what I was told.
Oh, okay. So you're saying that for them, it's a sexual experience if they eat somebody.
Yeah, I mean, and what I'm trying to say is to them, it's just as good as sex. I mean, that they get to be a reptilian of who they are, and they get to murder and maul and
I'm
eat.
a bit hungry right now. Okay, so, all right, so that kind of goes on like that, and, you know...
I mean, that's what I'm told now, Daniel, and these are from people that are credible.
You haven't tried it out?
No. But I was a guard at a door one time when they all did that, and me and the other guard didn't dare blink or move. We kept our eyes straight ahead. We glanced at each other for a second with the same thought in mind that we better just stand here.
Yeah,
well, I did see it, but then they closed the doors. But I have seen 6 people completely turn into a reptilian.
Now, how do you know that I'm not a shape-shifting reptilian myself? Is there a test? Is there any kind of test?
Not really. You're not.
How do you know that?
You wouldn't let me get away with what I talk about.
I mean, I was kind of looking at some owls and kind of liking it.
Well, you would debunk what I said. You would have me on there and say, I like having him on here because he's not telling the truth, and we can always debunk what he says. Listen, I'm already
so if one finds himself
to the fact that I'm going to be, that people are going to say that I'm an idiot. I'm already subdued to that fact, and I don't care.
So if one finds themselves strangely attracted to an owl, then they could be a shape-shifting reptilian?
Yeah. I'm going to tell you this. If you walk, you're by Indianapolis, if you walk through the city, I was told that between 4 and 7 out of 10 people are hybrids that you walk past in any large city.
Okay, listen, I got to get this question in because I'm getting spammed on it, so hang on.
Okay.
Do you have any knowledge of Aaron McCullum or Duncan Finian?
No.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay. Have you seen the video where Obama's agent shape-shifted into some sort of reptilian? Many say that
yes, I have. He was morphing.
Okay. Yeah. Now, you know, most people, you know, the establishment says it's just a camera and he was far away. But, you know, come on, really? That didn't happen in any other video.
It didn't come out till high definition came out. And they've taken analog off the TV. And I just told my wife last night, I said, you know what? I said, I've got friends that are still in Black Ops telling me, don't watch TV because there's deep-seated subliminal messages in it. And they took analog away. Now I know why. Because they needed to mix with shortwave and microwave to create this window, this portal, and everything's digital now. Well, when the digital came out, and night vision and infrared and all this other stuff that's available to anybody that used to just be available to the military, you can see these things. I mean, why is it that you can take a look at somebody and you take a picture of them and you can see a ghost or whatever?
Right.
And I want to tell you something else about ghosts. Have you ever seen Close Encounters of the Third Kind?
Yeah.
Okay. When that little boy got abducted by the aliens, what happened first? The doors were open and closing, and all this, and the toys were coming on, and the bolts were coming out of the vents.
Right.
Well, what do you think happened to the ghost? Did you see the movie The Conjuring?
I'm not sure about that one.
Okay, it's a new movie that came out. It's a true story about these people who had a terrible demon live in their house and still do. And the movie is absolutely true, and they had a viewing of it on the 19th, and I was able to hack in and get a copy of the viewing through a place called Z Movies, and it was a pot cam, but it was very well recorded. And in The Conjuring, what they said was, one guy asked it, because I seen the interview of the real people, and the Warrens were the ones that were going into that house, and they were paranormal and demonologists, and said that was the most horrific thing they ever seen. Now, he's dead, but he has it locked up in his house. The cursed items that are so dangerous, if it's 9 o'clock, he calls the psychic hour, and 3 o'clock is the witching hour in the morning, that they don't go down there about past 9, and he's got ropes and lines painted in there that if you cross, you could be hit by one of these demons.
Yikes.
And they're all locked up in storage. He has them. Well, they asked the Perot's, I think that's how you pronounce it, family, did you notice, do you ever have UFO activity? And she goes, every time when you have demonic activity, somebody says they see a UFO above us. Well, now, take a look at the movie The Fourth Kind from Abigail Tyler, who I'm still trying to get an interview with promises that I won't reveal certain things. And I have spoke with her, and that's not her real name, but for name's sake, that's what I'll leave it at.
I was going to say,
they got the actual picture where the cop, I don't know if you've seen it, is going, oh my God, they're coming out through the roof, and a giant UFO came over it and sucked him out of the roof.
Yikes.
He said they came out of the roof. She went into her and the two scientists, or the doctors, were there. And one doctor was the doctor of the Sumerian language, and these things came in, and they were speaking, and he was translating. This is the actual footage. And he goes, I am your Savior. We are the Savior of the world. Jesus Christ is not. He's a misinterpreted man. And the last thing he says is, I am God.
Okay.
Now, these are these UFOs. So wherever you see ghost activity, it's not ghosts. And just like the Warren said, you know, everybody knows the story about the possessed Raggedy Ann doll. He has it locked up. And people say, he said that people say that there's a little kid that possesses that doll. And his first very words out of his mouth is, God, it is no kid. God wouldn't do such a thing. When you die, you don't come back. People think they're getting in contact with their relatives. I'm sorry, that's not what's happening. You're talking to a demon. And the Ouija board is being highly publicized on YouTube. If there's anything you want to know. And one of the ones that I watched several hundred of the Ouija board. Type in the Ouija board and just put in Ouija board and Lathard, Lathard.
I'm not consulting the Ouija board, so...
No, I'm talking about, you got to see this. It's a girl named Lathard. And they go into this Ouija board thing, and it possesses her, and she starts bleeding out of her mouth. This is actual footage, and she squints her eyes like she's having a seizure, and she goes, it's like a little bird, and she's crying and blood's pouring out of her mouth.
Wow.
That's one of the most, and there's a movie coming out called The Harrowing. It's the Lucifer Effect. That's the name of it, the Lucifer Effect. Vince Lombardo did a Lucifer Effect, a experiment with people in prison that they took innocent people right off the street with no criminal history, and they made half of them prisoners and half of them guards. And within 3 days, the guards were already torturing people. They're regular, everyday people like me and you.
Let me ask you, this is from an earlier question, Lieutenant Colonel, and talking about controlling people. Who is controlling the NSA?
Brussels, Queen Elizabeth,
Really?
the royal family.
Okay.
I think if you'll talk to Al Cuppet, he'll tell you about Brussels.
You know, I need to get him back on. He's still out there?
Yeah, he's alive as far as I know. He's probably got more medals than any man I ever seen in my life. He does. And he talks, he knows what he's talking about. When you hear him, he doesn't start, he knows what he's telling you.
But he's still alive. Now, what about James Casbolt? Is he still alive? Because somebody's...
Well, no.
Is he being
not
cloned?
The real one.
Okay,
so the real one was a Christian. This one here is a New Ager. And he's married to some girl. And so, at first I didn't believe it. I was having certain contacts tell me that he was dead. And I thought, no, that's not possible.
Okay,
and he has his book on there. But notice how his book is starting to change. It ain't James. And Michael Prince was his real name.
Yeah.
And it's not him. I'm tending to lean on that he has been killed and replaced by the NSA, a clone. Because he told me of a ritual that they did with him. And if you got a minute, I'll tell you what it was.
Okay.
They got him down there. And I think they gave him scopolamine. And they showed him, he told me, ancient artifacts of the Masonic rituals. And they had the book that Himmler wrote on Operation Osiris, Flame and Risen from the dead. And that they had the technology to bring a person back to life, a soldier, regardless of the seriousness of their wounds. And he said after that, he was in a hypnotic trance, and he sat down in a chair, and he was strapped down to it, and from the ceiling, a little arm came out with a laser, and it bumped him on the pineal gland and burned it, with a burn spot there. And he was wired in by his fingers and other places to a clone of him who was sitting in another chair, and that clone was using his information and was remote viewing a satellite for targets. I mean, and I said, what's the accuracy of that, James? He goes, 95% accurate.
Okay, and well, all right. Well, here's a question from Put You All Away First. Wants to know, how long does it take to grow a clone?
1 year. Maybe faster. Me and James talked about that one time. And remember I read you a letter that he wrote me one time?
Yeah.
About this procedure, and he said the cloning operation might take the time as you say. It took longer when he was doing it, but he believed me when I told him it was a year. But I've had Black Ops connections tell me that they can do it in a week.
Yeah, right. But it's not murder if you kill a clone, is it?
You know what? I don't know. Everything that lives has a soul. Dogs, it doesn't matter.
Really?
So, but some people are demonic, and that's what they were when they were born, and that's what they're ever going to be, but doesn't mean they don't have a soul. They just have a lost soul. So I believe these clones, I don't know, most of them have never seen above the ground of Dulcie. Never seen it.
Okay, are you saying that a clone has a soul?
I think so. I think he's just got a demonic soul.
Where does that soul come from?
I have not. Well, they're done genetically with sperm and other things that they do, and they put them in these things called tubes. Okay,
I got that part. I'm with you there.
Okay, these tubes, there's a lot of them, but then there was a batch when I was down there of 13 tubes that had high purposes in life. In other words, one from the Bush family's genes to Bilderberg's and so on. There were 13 of them, and that was before I learned that there was 13 bloodline families.
Okay.
Well, there was 13 of them down there, and in these tubes, they're embryos, and they grow them up, and they're hooked to a big 50, I think it was a 50-inch wide, 32-inch high, 49-inch deep box called the Lucifer box.
Okay, I got that part, but we're still saying
and
where's the soul?
Lucy. They call it Lucy.
Is there a soul injecting machine? Where's this soul coming from, Colonel?
No, it's not a soul.
What is it?
They say it's directly connected to Lucifer for information.
So
and these
it's animation.
embryos are being programmed.
It's sort of a... Okay, so...
they're mature, and they know what their purpose is all right away.
Okay, so you're saying it's like a remote... sort of a remote control animation from Lucifer.
Yeah,
so there's no soul. It's pure animation.
Of wires to it, and they were hooked up only to the 13 tubes that I told you about. Mm-hmm. And I contemplated shooting one of them tubes one day because
what did you inject
I wasn't a believer back then, and I thought I could play God, and I thought, well, this is something. I'll just shoot it and say it. But there was no way I could ever explain why I wanted to shoot it, so I didn't do it.
Right.
But there was one that was out of jealousy. I went down, I was told to go down to the 6th level, and there was a disturbance down there. So I took 2 other security guards and we went down there. One of the clones from the hundreds of tubes, not from the 13, got jealous and broke one of the tubes for the 13, and they diced him up into pieces and burned him for doing it. But they were really upset about this tube, and that's how I got in there to see what they were. And they brought me in there, and they said, look, you don't talk about this. This never happened. It doesn't exist, what we're about to show you, but we need to bring order in there. And so we went in there and we got order together, but they were so upset about this one. Mm-hmm. And the guy goes, now that's going to put us 11 months behind. Mm-hmm. Now I remember that just as clear as day. That's going to put us 11 months behind, and I didn't dare ask behind what. I just kind of figured out. I knew what the devil was going to do more than I did with God before I was born again. I knew what he was up to. I knew that there was a higher force, that there was good, and there was something out there, and I knew that there was evil, and that the evil was just as powerful, as much love as God's got for people. That's how much powerful the evil is.
Lieutenant Colonel, have you ever been assigned by the CIA to go kill the devil?
No. But I've been assigned by them to do a lot of other people. Maybe they were the devil. I don't know.
Okay. What does it take to knock this dude out? Cause I'm about sick of his crap.
I just shot a 338. I sniped him up for 338.
That's all you got. That's all it takes to kill a devil. The devil.
Yeah, I don't. Well, no, I don't think you can kill the devil. Number one,
I'm going to do it. I got clearance.
Let's not fool ourselves and say the devil can't outwit us.
Yeah.
Because you know why? He already has. He already has outwitted us. The biggest lie he ever told was convincing people he doesn't exist at all, and he got away with it. There's people that believe in God. The Seventh-day Adventists, listen to this. They believe in God just like the rest of us, but they say God's so merciful that when if you go to hell, you're there on a time limit, and then you get to go to heaven because He wouldn't leave you there. What a bunch of baloney! But the Seventh-day Adventist Church is as big as the Catholic Church. So in the Catholic Church, don't even get me started about that.
Well, let's get started. I had some fun. I had some fun in my monologue, so let's go back to it. So you talk to the Catholic Church. Okay, you're saying they're run by the devil?
Yeah, they are. And look how they got the masses fooled. Look at Hitler. Okay. I know his whole story from when he was a kid. I've read everything about him. Some of them were original writings that I got to see and actually touch and turn the pages and read. He had the Nazi Party put together when he was 13 years old on paper. And a Jewish artist was buying his art, because he was an artist, and was fascinated at the fact that he drew a picture of an army with the swastikas and everything.
Yeah.
Well, how does one man get in there?
The same,
they were a superior race
way they
and
get
blah, blah,
30
blah.
million people to vote for Obama.
Exactly.
Hypnotize
How do they
them.
do that? Well,
Promise them a phone or something.
listen, I don't watch TV. I don't have cable. I use my internet. I got a high definition, big screen, 60-inch screen, and I use only off the internet. And I watch Netflix and certain movies, but I don't get to watch the news and stuff. I don't have cable, and so when I talk about these things, I'm bothered by it. But I know people watch TV all the time. That it's just so matter of fact. Well, he got in and. I get it. We haven't had no. Here's what people use is the. Well, we haven't had no terrorist attacks since then, and I believe what you said and everything, but I just didn't know where I thought. The devil's too slick to let everybody know he is now. But you know what?
I think he's
He's
dumber than a
not,
bag of
because
hammers.
he doesn't have everybody knowing who he is, but he's got everybody thinking it's possible. So if you don't do what you're told, you might get it, because the devil is powerful. He's the prince of the power of the air and the god of this world right now. You're living in Satan's world right now. We have Jesus Christ in our hearts, but we're living in Satan's world, and that's why God told us not to live by what we see or how we feel, because those that are sensual will see the blackness, darkness will be reserved for them forever. And he's telling you not to go by what you see and feel, because people who, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he throws he tells a little bit of truth, and you've heard me say this before. Let's say you got a truckload of salt, right? And you take 2 drops of cyanide, put it in there, and you mix it up. Who's going to take the first teaspoon to see if it's any good? So he throws just 1% of a lie, really more than that, to throw you off. Well, if he was the Antichrist, he wouldn't do this, or if he was a bad person, he wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
And at the same time, he's exposing his agenda. So it's being welcomed with open arms, because he is slickly welcomed by open arms from the beginning. If you'll watch his progression, he's getting more and more popular. So everybody's accepting him, and if he's the Antichrist, he's being accepted. He's fooling everybody. And he called military people stupid. He said, if you don't go to college and get a degree, then you're going to have to go in the military. He's calling us stupid. Well, maybe we are.
Okay.
But I'm smart enough to know what he is.
Okay. Let me get
He
this.
may not be the devil, but he's an evil person.
Okay. Let me get this question in from the live chat. I've seen it pop up several times now.
Yeah.
Who are the 80 Dulce? That's EIGHTIEDUECE.
The what?
It says 80 Dulce. This person has put that question in many times, and so I'm just throwing that out there.
I'd have to see it, and I'd have to see that one.
Okay.
Tell him to.
Okay, so what you're saying is the only way to
Facebook,
kill the devil is with Oregon. Is that what you're saying then?
No, I don't believe
Oh,
in
you
that.
didn't. Oh, you didn't say that. I said that.
Well, I'm not down in Sherry Shriner one bit, okay?
Uh-huh.
But she said she barged in the fences at Dulce, remember? Because she was invisible. Well, there is no fence at Dulce. It's the most unguarded outside place. You know why? Because the people that live there know what it is and don't want no part of it. And it's so there's only one way in, and the way out is the same way in, and you're not coming out.
Well, when I was at Dulce, I got down to, with my clearance, I got down to level 13. There I saw insectoids impregnating
They look like
reptilians.
mantises.
Right. And
Yep, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Right. And they've got these extreme appendages, and they were impregnating the reptilians. It was very sick. I told them I can't stand and watch that. So they did their thing. I kind of had to come back. But
yeah, and look, Daniel, don't go there again. Don't go there.
No.
They took me to a place that was worse. I didn't think it could get any worse. And I'm telling you right now, God's honest truth, I'm shook up.
Yeah.
For the first time in my life, I can say that I'm scared to the bone of what I saw. There was creatures in there that they said they were going to pull out of there at a later time that were the most malevolent, the evilest looking things I have ever seen. And one of them had a hand missing, ate his own hand out of hunger. I mean, I don't know how else to explain it. It's so far-fetched, I don't want to believe it, but I have to because I was there and seen it. And I'm telling you, these people, you know, we're like I called some of the guys, I said, we're like the Majestic 12, aren't we? I mean, you know, they pick on us and they let us live. But people go down in there and they don't come out.
Well, it's because
and I don't know what Oregon is, but I was told, and I know that you have seen it yourself on Facebook, that it brought on demons. I know you've seen it. Because me and Daniel are in a very small, tight group down there. And they're pretty educated people, most of them. And I got to say, your listening audience is probably, I've been on several different radio shows. You probably got the most educated listening audience, and I have a feeling it's huge. I really do. I believe you've got millions and millions of people that listen to you. Because Alexander Bachman, I've been on his show. You know Alexander, right?
Yeah.
We used to talk all the time, pretty regular, and we're code breakers. And we broke an Illuminati code on the internet and got down to the root of it and got so close to him we got scared and pulled out. But Alexander Bachman has a smart listening audience too, and but yours is so huge. I would say that your show's probably right next to Art Bell's. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, you going to be listening to Art when he comes back on in September?
I don't listen to him because they're all reruns.
No, he's coming on Sirius Radio, a new show.
Is he?
Yeah.
Well, what I wanted to ask you is this Chucky Nelson that made that film about the depopulation in the coal mines of West Virginians.
Yeah.
Would you like to have him on your show?
Sure.
He's eyewitness testimony of people being killed.
Okay.
So I'll come on with him. We were best friends, and I talked to him a few months back.
Yeah.
And I was going to go to West Virginia and see him, but I have my health just
what you got to do? Well, what you got to do? You got to send me an email with the name and.
Yeah, I will, and when we do it, I'll do it on a 3-way call, so I'm on there with you.
Yeah.
But he knows. Let me tell you what, he found out quick, and he's very active in marches at the White House. And he's about the coal mines and the use of Tetra, and they're killing people with black lung and Tetra, you know, coal dust and Tetra. And I lived there for many years, and that's how I know Chucky. We were next door neighbors, and we were close. And he was older than me by 4 years, but we were just real close. We liked each other, and we still are close. I found out when I called him after not talking to him for 25 years, and. He wants me to come down and visit him, but he's got some pretty NSA insight. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, he's pretty smart.
Smart person. He's well known in Congress. They all know who he is. So he would be a good one to have on there with me.
Okay. Here's a question for you. It says, do you know anything about the White Dragon Society with Benjamin Fulford?
No, I don't.
Okay. And then this question. Could 250 million flying scorpions of the Book of Revelation come out of the porthole that you described earlier?
Well, what I believe they are is jets. Because it said thunder came from their wings and they had stings in their tail, and wherever the stings went, destruction went.
Well...
You know, like rockets.
Okay, well, yeah, don't the Stingers missiles, aren't they under the wings and not really in the tail? So are you sure?
Yeah, but I mean, picture yourself in the year that John, the Revelator, wrote that. How else would he explain it?
Right, I understand what you're saying. It's 2,000
years and then
old.
He said that they looked like locusts. Then he said he talks about the tanks, the things and these bugs or beetles or whatever you want to call them on the ground that shot fire and brimstone out of their mouths. And locusts with thunder under their wings that did destroy. I mean, you got to put yourself in them days, you know, him seeing an airplane, you know. But now they were seeing UFOs in them days.
Right.
It looks like Ezekiel had an encounter with God that came in something, you know.
Yeah. What do you say to people that say the whole biblical record is just a rehash of previous civilizations that were left in the residual memory of different human races?
No. Here's what I believe: the other races got their religions built off the Bible. Even the Quran talks about Jesus Christ as a prophet.
Which book would you believe? Which book would you refer to most, the Quran or the Bible?
Bible. King James Version. That's the only one I go to. The New Illuminati version, the NIV.
Yeah.
I don't read it. Some people do, but they took whole chapters of Acts out of the book, and you know, the Bible. Listen, we know the King James Version's correct. It's what God brought out before us first, right? And then they found the Dead Sea Scrolls to put the pieces together, and it's correct. Okay? What are the chances of that guy finding the Dead Sea Scrolls in a little tiny cave? And so, where did the Quran come from?
Somebody in the live chat
Muhammad?
Somebody in the live chat said it came from the Vatican.
You know, I never thought about that, and they have.
Where'd it come from? Who wrote it? Aleister Crowley?
I guess the Prophet Muhammad did. I don't know. I've never read the Quran.
Was he a head-hacking freak? I mean, why is he called a prophet? Did he prophesy something and it came true?
Yeah, he profited about Allah.
Allah.
And you know what Allah stands for?
La 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 la. Well,
God.
Really?
Yeah. So God, our God, was called Allah back in them days. He was referred to in some cases as Allah. And it just means God, you know, and
means
their
moon
God is
God,
a great
right?
thing. But listen to this, and I don't agree with the Muslims at all on their way of thinking. And not every terror attack is a Muslim, but every Muslim, you know, not every Muslim's a terrorist, but every terrorist is a Muslim.
Exactly, and we're on a worldwide terror watch right now because of those freaks.
Right. So, but look at their dedication to their God, okay? Now, Jesus never asked us to blow ourselves up and stuff, but he does say laying down your life for another is the greatest of all things. So
no greater love has any man than to lay down his life for his friends, right?
That's exactly right. And so that's what we did in the military, and he, you know, who do you think he's referring to when he says, blessed are the peacekeepers?
Okay. Somebody...
Okay?
Go ahead.
So I'm going to get something to you.
All right, go.
How much dedication from a Christian have you seen that are as dedicated as Muslims to their God?
Well, it depends. If there's a being suffer and they want to be first in line, they're pretty dedicated.
That's right. And, you know...
Or if there's like a big giveaway, there's a big CD giveaway from the biggest Christian pop group, then there'll be people getting tramped on.
Well, you know, I talked to... It's just been a few weeks ago to a Muslim. He's a friend of mine, and he told me, he goes, Colonel, the Quran, Greg, he said, the Quran is so, he said, we don't know which version's right. Not all of it has killed the infidel. He said, it's been changed so many times that I don't know what to believe anymore. He said, I'm about to back out on the whole thing.
Right.
And now he was a Iraqi immigrant here. He runs a business. He runs a clean show. He's polite. He does not, he told me, I do not believe that Kill the Infidel came from the Quran. He said, I believe it came from the devil himself.
Yeah, well, when they're head-hacking and molesting kids, I mean, you know, their book tells them they can marry 10-year-olds, so, I mean, I'm not sure how godly that is.
Yeah, and what's the deal? If I wanted 70 virgins and all the whiskey I could drink, that's nothing that 50 grand won't buy me here.
Well, you know,
so
see, the problem,
why do all that
problem with the Muslim is the devil is a liar, so chances are those virgins, because it was not specified, I believe they're male.
Well,
so the joke's
their God
be
is
on,
the devil.
The joke's going to be on them, isn't it?
Yeah, their God is the devil. He's the devil himself.
Okay, listen here. I've referred to my Facebook, and I told people that they can hear some of my rants, my one-liner rants, if they go there. I posted something on my Facebook today, and it had to do with the Worldwide Travel Advisory, and I said, why is that? Because they're Christians, because they're Tea Party, because they're gun owners? No, because they're Muslims. It's always Muslims. Muslims always terrorists and killers. So somebody did a follow-up post and said that the United States is the monsters in the world. And
they are.
Okay, and so I said, well, I went to CNN's website, and then I found this article. It said, and I wrote it in my Facebook there, it said, this is from New York, it says, the UN has issued a travel advisory for most countries because credible evidence shows the U.S. is planning terrorist attacks against all non-Christians. Many countries have closed their embassies in the United States, citing safety concerns. This comes on the heels of Congress' recent declaration that women are only of a 2/3 value of a person, and all U.S. females are going to have their driver's license revoked and their college privileges taken away. Although now stonings of women continue at the U.S. Capitol as throwing acid has become in short supply. Some civil rights groups have complained about the United States because the male-dominated Congress is allowing marriage to 10 years old. So it does seem that the United States is certainly the most recognized terrorist organization out there, according to that article from CNN.
Well, remember what Obama said in one of his speeches? He said, what, do you all want to go back to Leviticus and stone our children when they're evil? He was making fun of the Bible. Or should we go to Numbers and do this, blah, blah, blah? Or should we go to Leviticus?
Didn't Obama just tell the Irish that Catholic education should be abolished and Protestant education should be abolished? Basically, all their buildings should be taken down and only Muslims be allowed to remain?
Yeah, and that's, you can be a Muslim at school and throw your blanket down and worship God, their Allah on the hour, but you can't pray for 5 minutes.
Why is that? And why are there Muslim
predominantly evil?
Why are there Muslim terrorist training camps in the United States?
Because we let it. NSA. The NSA is the evil eye. It's not the CIA. It's not the FBI. It's the NSA. Because when I was talking to James Casbolt, if you'll notice, they have MI6, MI5. We have CIA, FBI. Other countries have their, the Nazis had the SS, Secret Service, and all this other stuff.
You got a brown shirt, Obamas.
Right, and so you have all these different Secret Service, but one thing that every country has is the NSA.
Oh, boy.
And it doesn't say NSA Africa, NSA America, it's just the NSA. You know what I'm saying? And so, the CIA, they were created not to operate into this country, but in international affairs. And the FBI was created for this country. It's the United States version of the CIA. Well, the Department of Defense a few years back created CIFA, C-I-F-A, Central Intelligence Field Activity, where now they got a CIA branch that can operate in the United States. Well, I don't know if anybody knows the story, but I knew the guy, Jim Mcneil. He was called the only man that knew, and he knew about the terrorist attacks in the trade centers, and he felt, and so when he went over to where they did the Yemen, where they bombed that boat, the American woman at the embassy there revoked his passport because he was straining relationship with the Muslims in America.
Right.
So they retired him, and they gave him a job, you're going to believe this, $350,000 a year at the Trade Center Tower's head of security. 3 weeks he was there, and the last conversation, the day before 911, he told one of his buddies at lunch, his last words were, it's going to happen here, and it's going to be big. So they went over to Yemen. He got so close to the truth, so they just went ahead and put him in the buildings they're going to blow anyway. But here's the startling fact. We found him under a stairwell dead. Brother, I don't see no stairwells left.
You know, I was just thinking the most famous thing that John F. Kennedy ever said was, "Ask not what you can." Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And Obama's most famous statement to date is, "When the political winds of change blow against the Muslims, I will be on your side." So, you know, that right there shows you the juxtaposition of two great statesmen, I would say. Well, Colonel, we've got to wrap this thing up. Anything you'd like to say as we come to the end of the broadcast? You go right ahead.
Yeah, I think that everybody needs to take a little bit more heed, or at least look at the things that me and Daniel are telling you about, because we have been to these places, and the only good advice I can give you about being prepared is this. I'm probably in Black Ops the most exploited, you might say, the most talkative on radio shows that you'll ever find. And the people that I worked for never, ever, ever, and it always came to pass what they said they were going to do, and they never gave me a reason to believe that they won't do it. So if I get on here and I tell you June 3rd, they're going to have a terrorist attack in Wisconsin, and you probably need to go to Illinois for a few days or you'll be locked in. If you come from Illinois for 3 days and it doesn't happen, what have you lost? 3 days. But if it does happen, you're trapped and you're caught up in the middle of it. So more and more the things that are impossible are actually more possible. So my best advice is you just really need to take heed. You really need to take heed.
Okay.
And I would like to come back on your show. I was telling Daniel today, everybody knows the Cigar Dave show. He's the general of cigars, and he calls all his listening audience lieutenants. Well, Daniel, he got himself down as Lieutenant General, or Major General Daniel.
Yeah.
We'll just start calling him the Information General.
All right. All right, Information General. We can go with that. All right, Lieutenant Colonel. All right. Well, appreciate you coming on the program.
Yeah.
Can we have you on again sometime?
Yep. You know you can.
All right. Appreciate it so much. This show's going to play right after we hang up and rebroadcast. So we'll talk to you again.
All right, brother.
All right. Bye-bye.
Shalom. Bye.
All right, everybody. That was Lieutenant Colonel SC back for another explosive show on the Edge Television broadcast. Next week, Stephanie Spielman will be here talking about Demonic Guardian Angel. Whoa, we're going to get spooky next week. 2 weeks.